Hi, I'm Kay Walter. At Bergen Community College, we believe that all citizens need to be informed about the important issues that affect their lives. That's why we're proud to support the programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by New Jersey Council of County Colleges, Bergen Community College, New Jersey Natural Gas, proud to support education in our communities, QualCare Inc., a local managed care company covering 750,000 New Jersey residents, Verizon Communications, Cone Resnick, accounting, tax, and advisory, where forward thinking creates results, and by Adler Aphasia Center, helping stroke and brain injury survivors recover their speech.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. It is my honor, my pleasure to introduce two very distinguished gentlemen, Dr. Will Austin, who is president at Warren County Community College, and Matthew Miller, who is a veteran. They're joining us to talk about a program called the VIPER program, which stands for Veterans in Pursuit of Educational Readiness. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. How are you?
Good, good. Tell us what this program is.
We started this program in about fall of 2012, and it was really a program designed to give veterans the most credits they could for their service. So what we do, it's a little bit different than other colleges, is colleges will come back and they'll give veterans a certain amount of credits, usually 6, some 9. We give up to 45 credits, which is 45, which is 3/4 of an associate's degree. And what we do is we look at all of the service. We have it looked at by a couple of national agencies. We do some evaluations ourselves, and we work with Thomas Edison in New Jersey. And what we try to do is come up with the maximum number of credits we can give our veterans for what they've done to serve our country.
Well, let's break this down a little bit. Matt, when you were in service.
Yes, sir.
I always find it amazing when I get called sir, because I ask my kids to and they laugh. Did you say to yourself, I want to go back and I want to get my college degree? Was that ever part of it for you?
Absolutely. I feel like not enough veterans utilize the post 9/11 GI Bill. It's a wonderful program, and I'm lucky enough to come home right to Warren County, where Warren County Community College was able to give me, I believe I transferred in with 20 credits.
Yeah, 20.
Which, as an infantryman, wow, that's a job skill that doesn't transfer over easily. A family friend told me about the program.
The VIPER program?
Yes, and I decided to stop in. I came in one day, and an hour later, I was signed up for school.
Will, is that how it happens?
Yeah, I mean, that's the basic goal. What we do is we have a special office dedicated to our veterans for the VIPER program.
There's a special office dedicated to helping these men and women pursue the college careers.
Absolutely. And it's not just for Warren County, it's for anyone, anywhere in the world. And a lot of our servicemen and women can actually finish the degree online. We just graduated someone this past Saturday who came all the way from Virginia and took all of their classes online, a veteran.
From your school?
From our school, yes. Here's what I like to tell people about the program that's really important to remember. We're not giving anything to our veterans. We're recognizing what they've already earned. So sometimes people say, oh, this is really special, There's no gift. These veterans earned every single credit they get, if not more. And what we're doing is we're honoring that service by recognizing that academic credential. Because let's face it, they come back a lot of times and they want to get a job. But an employer doesn't know how to translate military service. But they do know how to translate an academic degree into employment.
So let's do this. Let's break down, because a lot of folks are saying, hey, I would love to help, a veteran as well, and it's great that you're getting the college degree, but the credits first. But I'm sure people are asking, because I was curious about this too, how do you actually equate that military experience to college credits? Like, what equals what?
Well, every branch of the service is different, and everything that they do is different. So there's a couple of national agencies, the Joint Military Transcript, the ACE, the American Council on Education.
These are all accredited
Thomas
organizations?
Edison, all accredited. They've looked at different various kind of entities in the military. So everything from basic training to specific training can be applied towards a degree. So Matt was able to actually get a degree in business. Now, when you think military, you wouldn't think that that would be your degree.
What did he have coming in to get the 20 credits? Did you know what it was you had done in the military that got you the 20 credits?
You take a lot of classes in the military. To get promoted, you have to constantly take classes, so a lot of those equated over. Like Dr. Austin said, basic training transfers over.
The training does as well. Why? Why the training?
Well, Matt's a Marine, and we actually, myself and another person, when we started the Viper, actually went to Parris Island and spent 3 days on the island looking at what they were doing. And I think here's
Did
the
you go through the training?
No. Do I look like I can make it through the training?
I couldn't either, so.
We did some simulations. They actually, we got to shoot the guns. We got to jump, rappel the wall.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. We got to go in hand-to-hand combat as with one of the Marine trainers. We did all the fun stuff. Matt will tell you, we got to be bit by the sand fleas a little bit, but Matt will tell you, what we do is kind of a joke compared to what obviously.
There's a lot of mind stuff going on there,
those are all the physical things. What was surprising to me was the amount of what literally is classrooms on Parris Island, in classrooms education that these young men and women go through when they're going through basic training. It's we give 6 credits for Marine Corps Parris Island training, but I can tell you based on what they go through, that's probably an underestimate by some of the national organizations. I mean, they get leadership training, they get training in how to deal with personnel issues. I mean, there is a ton of training that goes on in the military that you just don't naturally think of. You think of somebody jumping off the side of the wall, you think of somebody shooting a rifle, but you don't think about the amount of in-classroom type of training they go through.
I think to myself, business, I've often said this to people on the air, they know I do a lot of leadership training. I'm writing a book called Lessons in Leadership, and I'm asking myself, how is it that what you're doing is not leadership? How is it that being in the Marines is not about leadership? It is.
Absolutely. The Marine Corps puts a huge emphasis on small unit leadership. I believe when I was 19 years old, I was already in charge of 4 or 5 guys. You're not going to get that out in the civilian world. But that's why a program like the Viper program, it really helps because, like Dr. Austin said, that doesn't translate well.
Yeah. Where are you right now in the process academically?
I just finished, got my associate's degree in business, and I'm going back for the nursing program at Warren County Community College. I want to get a job with the VA.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
By the way, anyone watching anywhere in the tri-state area on public television or FiOS, they want to find out more about it. What do we do?
You just go right to the website, warren.edu, and you click on the Viper button, and it's right on the front.
The Viper button's right there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tells you everything you need to know?
Absolutely.
How great has this program been?
It's probably my favorite thing that I've ever been part of in higher education, because it's the chance to do what a community college is supposed to be doing. It's not only putting people into the classroom and going through that, but it's credentialing. It's looking at what they did in their life and their competency base and saying, this is where you are. We found you where you are, and these are the credits you've earned in life. And we look at the Viper as a way to expand everything we're doing in that area into the future.
Matt, advice to some of your colleagues watching right now.
Use the GI Bill. It's there. Everybody wants to get out and jump right into the workforce. It's 2015. You're not going to get anywhere without an education.
What's his future like?
Very bright. He's going to change the VA for us.
The Veterans Administration. You think a guy like him, with his leadership skills, with his educational background, with his commitment, has the ability to do it?
And his military background? Absolutely.
Boy, do we need it. Dr. Will Austin, President of Warren County Community College, and Matt Miller, a Marine who has made a difference and served our country, by the way, on behalf of everyone on public television. Every time we have someone who has put his life on the line for our country, we say this, and I know you know we mean it. Thank you for your service to the country, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys. Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Recently, my colleague Joanna Gagos went on the road to take a look at how hospitals are helping patients transition from hospital setting back into their home. Let's take a look at Joanna's report.
New mandates from the Affordable Care Act have caused hospitals to look at their readmission rates and the reasons why patients often end up back in the hospital shortly after discharge. So how can hospitals better help their patients transition from the acute care setting back into their homes and better understand their healthcare challenges in the process? Today, we look at the Transitions in Care program at Virtua, which has addressed this question with a unique set of solutions that's earned it the New Jersey Hospital Association's 2015 Excellence in Quality Improvement Award. I'm here with Betsy Ryan, who's the president and CEO of the New Jersey Hospital Association. Betsy, how do you work with hospitals to help them better improve the care that they provide to their communities?
We've had a Quality Institute for about 10 years, and we convene our members and work together on quality improvement projects. We bring in experts in whatever field we're focused on, and we impart best practices. The caregivers take them back into their healthcare setting, hospital, post-acute care, and they apply them.
Why is post-acute care the new direction of healthcare today?
Well, I think the Affordable Care Act really made everyone in healthcare come together. We're focused on keeping patients well and out of the hospital, and post-acute care is a great partner to allow hospitals to do that and to provide care in other settings at a reduced cost to keep them out of the hospital setting.
I'm here with Dr. Jennifer Khalil, who is the Program Director for Post-Acute Services at Virtua. Dr. Khalil, why do hospital readmission rates right now matter?
About 1 out of every 4 of our patients who is admitted to the hospital was being readmitted for various reasons within 30 days of their discharge. So that was a number that really opened our eyes and made us recognize that we could be doing more to support people once we discharge them from the hospital.
Tell me about the Transitions in Care program here at Virtua.
Really, what we tried to do initially was to identify the reasons that our patients were not being successful when they were discharged to home and why they were returning to us in the hospital.
What were some of those reasons?
One of the reasons is that they don't fully understand their medication regimen when they go home. Sometimes they weren't sure about the medications that they were to continue. Sometimes they didn't understand why they were being placed on new medications. Some folks don't have transportation or any way of getting to their follow-up appointments with their primary care physicians, so that follow-up appointment never happens.
So how does this program address some of those needs?
We send a nurse out to the home who meets the patients when they are discharged from the hospital. We try to get a nurse out within 24 hours of the patients going home, and that nurse really is the point person for the patient in the home. He or she will sit down with the patients, will do a medication reconciliation, make sure that the medications that they're taking are appropriate, make sure that they understand how they're taking their medication.
It's best to give this in the evening, so when you fill your pill box, you would fill it accordingly.
The other thing that the nurse is able to do out in the home is really assess the living environment and the living situation. So if there are any hazards in the home, for instance, throw rugs on the floor that might cause somebody to trip. Some folks don't have access to adequate nutrition, and they're discharged from the hospital on a very specific diet. So the nurse in the home is really able to identify any areas where that particular person will require some support in order for them to be successful in the outpatient setting.
Mickey Kling was acting as caregiver for her husband Rick when he was admitted to the hospital with heart failure. After discharge, Rick and Mickey enrolled in the Transitions in Care program. When Carol DeMichael, the nurse who came and helped you in your home, when she first came, what were some of the things that she assessed in your home that might need to change just to keep Rick safer?
We talked about shoes on the floor. He has a lovely habit of dropping things, and it's usually his shoes. So we did talk about that. We talked about grab bars in the bathroom for his safety, for getting in and out of the shower.
How were the nurses able to help you monitor his health on a daily basis?
We had to do daily weights and blood pressures, pulse oxygen levels, the things that were important that if they changed, they needed to be picked up immediately.
The home nurses use a system called telehealth that provides daily remote access to the patient's medical information.
The telehealth program enables, it empowers the patient
and or the caregivers at home with the patient to become educated. They learn what to look for. They learn what is a symptom of something not good. So we have monitoring equipment. This monitors the patient's blood pressure, the heart rate, the pulse oxygenation level, and his weight. So we teach the patient to monitor these first thing in the morning and log them, and we teach them what to look for.
Every morning after he got up, he would get weighed. We would hook him up to all the equipment. Everything was computerized. The blood pressure was registered on the computer. Everything was transmitted to the nurse, and the nurse then assimilated everything and contacted us if there was an issue. If his blood pressure was too low, if he had gained a considerable amount of weight, if they didn't feel that his pulse oxygen level was high enough, if his heart rate was registering too low or too high, things like that.
Indicators that he might need to be readmitted to the hospital.
Yes, or that he might need his medication changed or something like that. If there was an issue, they contacted the doctor. And it was a tremendous backup to what I was doing here at home.
Effects in the body.
So part of the nurse's role is to teach the patient exactly what kind of information I need to hear from them when they call the office and they say, you know what, doc, I think I need to come in a little sooner. There is a tool, and it's called the SBAR. So that tool is very effective really in empowering a patient and teaching them exactly what I need to hear to help make a good decision regarding their clinical plan.
As the physician.
Correct. The S stands for situation, the B stands for background, the A stands for assessment, and the R stands for recommendations. So for instance, if you were to call me in the office, you would say, Dr. Khalil, I woke up this morning and I'm short of breath. So that would be your situation. Background would be, I was just discharged from the hospital 5 days ago and my discharge diagnosis was congestive heart failure. So under the assessment piece, you would say something to me like, my blood pressure for the last 3 days was 120/60. This morning it's 150/80. And I'm 5 pounds heavier than I was yesterday. And then finally, the recommendation piece is what we want to know from the patient. I think I need to be seen today, or I think I should go to the emergency department. What's your recommendation?
What did you learn about the importance of communicating with a primary care physician in a very specific way?
I learned that they're more responsive if you go to them with exact information. If you say, well, I think his blood pressure's too low, the question then is why? And as long as you have that reading and you say, I think it's too low, they can say, yes, it is, no, it's not, and tell you, where to go from there, what to do. Hi, this is Mickey Kling.
Virtua saw a 17% decrease in readmissions, which is incredible. And then I believe in terms of physician follow-up, they had 80% of their patients seeing their physician in the right prescribed period of time, which is 1 to 2 weeks. And that's a marked improvement. And when a patient was discharged, there was intensive education of the patient on what he or she needed to do in terms of their post-discharge planning, in terms of getting medications, seeing a physician for follow-up.
I think this program is a perfect example of how you can use a multidisciplinary team in order to make sure that patients are successful at home. And patients who are successful at home, who don't unnecessarily have to return to the hospital, will save our system millions of dollars in the long run.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We are now joined by Bruce Goldstein, who is the chair of the Board of Trustees of the New Jersey Sharing Network. Good to see you, Bruce.
Good to see you.
New Jersey Sharing Network is a great organization. We've been working with them for the last several years, dedicated to
promoting organ transplantation in New Jersey and facilitating the transfer.
And you got involved with this organization May 29, 2005. You had a heart transplant, and it changed your life?
Well, yeah, like it gave me life. I had a heart transplant on May 29, 2005. I'd suffered a massive heart attack the prior December, and the only shot that I had was an organ transplant. And I was fortunate. I had several procedures, sort of complex, but it ended up with a new heart and a life.
Bruce, did you even know about this organization before that?
No, and you know, I didn't know about it, and ironically, the organization is in New Providence, about a block and a half from where we used to live. And so it's really a world of ironies.
And by the way, we've been working with the organization, the Sharing Network, and the information will be up there. You need to know more. There's just not enough information about organ and tissue donation in the state, and that's why we're doing public awareness about this process and about the need. Lots of people are waiting for organs all across this nation, all across this state. How did you go from not knowing to having the transplant to become chairman of the board?
Well, I knew as a result of the devastating heart attack, once I got the transplant, and that's an extraordinary experience. I mean, from somebody like me, who basically has been told, you really don't have much of a chance of surviving unless you get a transplant. Strike that. You will not survive unless you get a transplant. To wake up one day and no longer be wearing a left ventricular assistance device in your abdomen, there are no wires hooked up to you. You can get up, you can walk around, you can see the daylight. It's an extraordinary thing.
What were you feeling and thinking when you woke up? You've got this new heart that comes from someone else, right? Do you remember what you were thinking and feeling?
It was the most exciting day of my life. I mean, all of a sudden you're seeing daylight, you know, and it's remarkable. To have that gift of life, it's a gift. It is a huge gift. It's the ultimate gift, isn't it?
Did you think you owed after that?
Sure I did.
What did you owe, and to whom?
I owe the obligation to help others receive the same gift that I received. It's an enormous obligation, and it's something that I feel privileged to do. I didn't know about the Organ Sharing Network. I didn't know what they did. Actually, my transplant took place in New York, not in New Jersey. But when I got back on my feet and returned to the practice of law, I wanted to do something that was meaningful, that I could do that was meaningful. Sure. And I was fortunate enough to meet Joe Roth, the executive director.
Joe Roth's the best.
He is the best. He really is. And ultimately got on the board. And it's been a remarkable experience.
Well, what's interesting is, as we do this program, we're coming up on the 10th anniversary.
Yes.
Of your gift of life.
That is absolutely right.
And in fact, on the 7th, we're taping this program in toward the late end of May. On the 7th of June?
7th of June, New Providence, New Jersey.
I will be there.
Will you? That's great.
I'm hosting the event.
Even better.
I'm hosting the event, but forget about I'm hosting. What's bigger is that you are there. It's the walk. Let everybody know what's happening that day. That is the New Jersey Sharing Network 5K. What's Big Ten? The Big Ten, is that your team?
BIG is Bruce I. Goldstein. 10 is 10 years out. When my sons gave, they said, Pop, we got a great name for the team, Big Ten. I said, well, terrific. They said, you don't get it, do you? I said, get what? What are your initials? BIG. How many years out are you? 10. Hey, that's really cool. That's Big Ten.
Well, who's going to be there with you?
My wife, our kids, a lot of our friends, a lot of their friends. It's going to be a very exciting day. It's an extraordinary day for me. I've been to many of these, not just because of the number of people who are there, and not just because of the number of recipients there, but the donor families who are there.
Talk about that, the donor families.
Oh, Steve, it's hard to almost talk about it without having tears. These are people who have suffered the ultimate in tragedy. They've lost someone so close to them. And they've taken that horrific event and converted it into ongoing life for so many people. And they support it, and they come out. They come out there. We have posters of their loved ones. It is an incredibly emotional experience to see this.
What does it say about those people?
It says they're the salt of the earth. It says they are the best of the best. I gave a presentation at...
you give a lot of presentations.
I give some. And I gave one at the hospital in in New Brunswick.
Right.
And I do a lot of public speaking. I'm a lawyer, and I'm reasonably confident in the way I speak. But I was speaker number 2. Speaker number 1 was a donor, the mother of someone who had died, and she saved 7 lives. And she had as part of her video the pictures of every single person whose life she saved. I mean, that's hard to process.
What did you do after that?
I did everything I could to get my emotions into place, and I spoke from the heart. But it was one of the most powerful demonstrations I've ever heard. Just a regular person.
You know, it's amazing to me that people think that that most people don't care about other people, and I'm not going to play the numbers game, but we've had people who are donor family members, and it is extraordinary when they talk about why they did what they did to give life, give that gift to other people. And to hear you talk about it on the other end is important. That's a big day, June 7th, and go on the website, you'll see it up one more time, of New Jersey Sharing Network. One more thing before I let you out of here.
Sure.
What would you say to all those who are watching right now who say, that's great for Bruce, that's terrific that it happened for him, but what do you want me to do?
Register. Register to be an organ donor. Register to be an organ donor. Go online at njsharingnetwork.org.
Check it off.
Check it off. If you can't check it off, tell your family.
And what about with your driver's license when you renew it?
Renew it and make sure it says organ donor.
There's no reason not to.
There's no reason not to.
There's no religious, we've done this a million times. There's no organized religion that officially says this is not the right thing to do.
Organized religion embraces it.
Yes.
It's the only way one could achieve immortality. Isn't that ironic?
Bruce Goldstein, Chairman of the Board of Trustees at a great organization called the New Jersey Sharing Network. You honor us by being here. We are so glad that you have 10 years with the gift of life and you're continuing to give to others. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you so much.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by New Jersey Council of County Colleges, Bergen Community College, New Jersey Natural Gas, Qualcare Inc., Verizon Communications, Cone Resnick, and by Adler Aphasia Center. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and NorthJersey.com, and by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
Hi, I'm Linda Bowden. Aphasia is a language disorder that occurs from a stroke or a brain injury. My dad had a neurological disorder that no one could diagnose. Although his intellect was intact, his speech was getting worse. Then we learned he had aphasia, and we saw firsthand how isolating it can be. It is possible to help those with aphasia improve their communication skills and regain the confidence to live their lives fully. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with aphasia, there is hope.